Hello, I'm Alex Hirschfield and I direct the Applied Criminology Centre at the University of Huddersfield. The area of criminology that we specialise in is called environmental criminology, and this is all about how crime patterns and the perception of crime is influenced by the environment in which crimes occur. And by environment, I mean a number of factors, including, for example, housing design, street layouts, the distribution of pubs, bus stops, public open space, and residential neighbourhoods, not just the neighbourhoods themselves, but what they border onto. And all of these factors combine ensure that crime does not take place everywhere all of the time. As environmental criminologists, we actually use these patterns to understand how offenders choose their targets, carry out their crime, and then ultimately make their escape. So what we're interested in is much less about criminality, about why people turn to crime in the first place and what makes them tick, and much more about blocking off opportunities to commit crime. We want to know, how can we make it more difficult for offenders, more time-consuming, more risky and even less rewarding to commit crime so that they simply don't bother. One way of making it more difficult for offenders to commit crime is to design out crime in buildings, in neighbourhoods, so that these opportunities are removed. This is best handled at the design stage, when architects are first thinking about building layouts. If done well, this can make a real difference to people's lives. Not only does it give them protection, it also reduces their fear of crime. You can see from this that some days have higher crime than others. Vehicle damage occurs more on Saturdays, and you're more likely to be a victim of robbery between 3 and 5 in the afternoon than at other times. And here is 24 hours of street crime in London superimposed on the street network. As the clock advances, crime hotspots form. Some intensify, others fade, and some disappear altogether. Others shift their location, and some places don't have any hotspots at all. What this shows is that crime is not random. If it was random, it would be very difficult to reduce, because we wouldn't know how, where, and when to prevent it from happening. It will be entirely unpredictable, and we would be totally lost.
My name's Rachel Armitage. My area of expertise is the subject of designing out crime, which involves ensuring that housing developments are built with consideration for crime prevention.
Hello, my name's Michael Brook and I'm from the Association of Chief Police Officers and I work for Secured by Design. Previous to that, I served for 30 years with West Yorkshire Police as a detective. I concluded my career as a Force Architectural Liaison Officer with strategic responsibility for designing out crime across the county. We're here on a housing estate in West Yorkshire for me to show you some good and bad examples of that discipline.
So, in terms of natural surveillance, we found that properties which were overlooked experienced 38% fewer crimes than properties which were not overlooked. Therefore, it's important to ensure that the sightlines between properties aren't blocked by things such as high walls or overgrown shrubbery.
Natural surveillance is a key principle to designing out crime, and here we've got a really good example. The gable end behind me has got several windows, which enables the people that live there to see the activities that are taking place outside their home. But just across the street, we've got another gable end with no windows in it whatsoever, and quite simply the people in the street cannot be seen. We've also got an example here of overgrown landscape. This tree badly needs pruning back, and when we've done it correctly and we've just got the tree trunk and a bush above it, we'll all be able to see and be seen at street level, and that's a good principle for designing out crime.
In terms of through movement, we found that properties which were located on a through road experienced 93% more crime than properties located on a cul-de-sac, as long as that cul-de-sac isn't what we call leaky. Leaky cul-de-sacs are those which are accessible via footpaths or alleyways, and we found that these experience the highest levels of crime, 110% more than true cul-de-sacs. So it's important to ensure that we avoid poorly designed or poorly positioned footpaths within a development.
It's right that communities are connected to local amenities such as public transports and shopping. But here we've got a public footpath that runs to the rear of people's homes. And as it goes off into the distance, you can see that it gets quite narrow and well overgrown. And we've got to think what this route might look like at night. Also, we can see that because it's at the backs of people's homes, the defence to that has been some really quite high and ugly fences, and indeed some of the houses have got nails in that fence to try and prevent people climbing over. You know, access is key to crime, and here we've got an example in this corner plot where the footpath has been used as an access opportunity, clearly to commit a burglary. So much better to have designed this route into the development at that drawing board stage rather than have the development back onto it, as appears to be the case now.
In terms of car parking, we found that properties with communal parking experience the highest levels of crime and antisocial behaviour. Also, properties with rear parking courts, which are around the back of the development and out of sight of residents, also experienced high levels of crime and antisocial behaviour.
After the purchase of our home, the purchase of a motor vehicle is the next most expensive thing that we buy. Right, therefore, that we know where we're parking that vehicle when we get home. And on this estate, we've got some good and not so good examples. Here we've got vehicles parked within the boundary of the home, and we can see that we've got clear demarcation between the public space of the highway, the black tarmac, and the brick paving of the driveway beyond it. It could be better with some gates across here and some demarcation between numbers 15 and number 17, but overall it's not bad. Certainly a lot better than what we've got to my immediate left, where really we've just got a wide expanse of black tarmac and concrete, and it's not clear who can park here and who can't. What does it look like on a weekend when maybe everybody is at home? And also maybe some people that live here have got more than one vehicle. With car ownership on the increase, it's right that architects, planners and crime prevention design advisors work together to improve our car park strategy so that we can meet our future car parking needs.
We've undertaken vast amounts of research on the subject of designing out crime, both in the UK and overseas, and this has involved physically visiting thousands of properties to assess their design and build, and also talking to local police, residents, architects and planners. Paying attention to these specific features within the design and build of a development can have a major impact on crime at very little extra cost. Research conducted here at the University of Huddersfield has shown that the average property in West Yorkshire experiences almost 4 times more burglary than a property designed according to the features of designing out crime. Because these features are considered at the design stage before the development's actually built, the additional costs are as little as £170 for a 3-bedroom detached house. And due to the crimes that are prevented, these costs can be recouped in less than 2 years. For me, designing out crime represents one of the most common sense approaches to crime reduction. Its appeal lays in its simplicity, but also in the benefits which it can and has produced. Benefits in terms of reduced crime, in terms of enhanced feelings of safety for residents, and ultimately in terms of a reduction in cost to society.